Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, one-on-one.
Just so we're clear, because over the years, people hear the word Quango and generally they know, but generally most people say, oh, that's just another entity of cronies or from the political guys. You say?
Well, Quango is a quasi-government organization, which basically means in practical sense that we still have oversight by a minister, in our case, the Minister of Public Works, but we still have a bit of operational flexibility to run the corporation.
That means the taxpayers are paying or you're paying for it?
Paying for?
The operational, whatever you just mentioned.
But we generate our own revenue.
So you don't take money from government?
No, we don't. What
do?
We generate our revenue through the cruise lines, through commercial and residential rents, et cetera, et cetera.
And government oversees because it's crown land?
Yes.
Per se?
Yes.
So for those that think you're just receiving bags of money under the table, that's not
right.
it.
So for the last 26 plus years, and this is something we're proud of at Wedco, is that we've never taken a government grant for operational matters at all. We've always been self-sustaining, meaning that what we was able to earn on our revenue side and pay out through our expenses, all of our own, without the need for government injection of funds from an operational point of view. Capital's different, but from an operational.
Is that the same for BLDC though?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So while we're on BLDC, a lot of talk about that wharf, seaport. Any proposals looking at that?
So, I'll jump in there and say that I got there about a year-ish ago, just over a year ago, and one of the things that I wanted to make sure is that we understand what is going to be accepted by the community. So
what they need.
And what they need and what their desires are.
Because like if I live in St. David's, where do I have to go for an ATM?
Exactly. So that one of the things that we did a community plan. It's not quite completed. It never is completed because a community plan should be updated.
What do they want? What are they asking for?
So some of the top items were that they wanted a grocery store. They wanted to have an ATM. They wanted to have a pharmacy. A lot of them brought in about transportation, not having transportation when they wanted it. So in other words,
well, that whole St. David's thing, if you don't hit the gate by 6:15 still in 2023. No, I know you're not trying, but like what is that? Even Clearwater's on your property.
Right.
Tourists can't get a bus in and like, come on.
Right. So some of it boils down to, quite honestly, critical mass. I mean, you're not going to...
I don't know what that means. What do you mean?
So critical mass is how many people or volume of people that you're servicing. So obviously it's going to be difficult for the PTB or whoever to put on a bus service at 10 o'clock at night if there's one person on it every night. That is not cost effective to the taxpayer. But as we continue to develop the area and there's more people that live there, work, play, then we should be able to expand those types of transportations and also the amenities that go with it. So what we wanted to start with was a community plan to understand what is it that people say that they will support, because it's important to know what they're going to support, because you don't want someone to give you a proposal for something that they're going to do well and all of a sudden you put it in place and it's not what the community wanted.
I have to go there. If we're talking about what they support, they clearly did not support that matter waste thing.
Right.
And you were the chairman then, right?
No, I'm not the chairman. I'm the CEO.
You were the CEO then?
Yes.
You knew about it?
Yes.
And so what now? You agree that they should have did environmental impact, or they just came and said rent money and you said take it?
Well,
and I'm not trying to make you the
No, that's
bad
fine.
guy. And where are those containers now? Are they still on BLDC property?
No, they're not. They were removed and put at the dump at the airport.
So where does that leave BLDC in all of this?
So BLDC, let me explain. It has we have several different types of land. So you'd end up having some that's woodland reserve. Some of it is commercial. And if we're asked for someone to put a business within a commercial site, then we would look at it, and if they're able to pay the rent and do this, it's a commercial.
So they were there?
No, they would apply to...
And they did that?
They applied.
So they're still there?
Who's that? Mediways? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I'm explaining the process.
Go ahead. I'm just want to be sure.
Yeah. So the process would be that they would come to us like they did 2 years ago. We would say, Well, we would entertain it, but you have to go out, you have to go to planning, you have to go to all the powers that be, get everyone to tick off on it, and because there's a limited amount of industrial space in Bermuda, period. So as long as you get all the approvals that are necessary, then we will agree to lease the land. And that's what happened probably 2 years ago.
And that's still the same, no?
And that would be the same. So they went through the whole planning process and everything else.
Sure.
So we're not necessarily involved directly with the planning process or the approval process.
Moving forward, though, it's where the ball lands after all this. Nothing
Correct.
to do with you.
Correct.
So from a money point of view, you explain what Quangos are. I'm still looking to hear by X years, you hope to trim X dollars. Like, explain to me, like I'm a 6-year-old, where this is going in terms of, you know, making your operational costs more effective and so forth, because we have to cut costs overall and preserve this country for future generations. Never mind those who think they're going to live forever and take it with them. It's not going to go that way. So how do I know 10 years from now, Watford Bridge is still going to be standing there? Like, we've got some big infrastructure things going on. Talk to me from a money perspective.
Right. So, like any projection, I guess it's difficult to always sort of know, come out exactly, because it's capital investment that's going to be happening along the way. So, even though we may have some savings, like I projected out, we'll save about $4 million over the next 5 years in certain areas, but that $4 million may then be used to reinvest in some capital projects that I don't even know about today. So we are moving in the right direction in savings, but like I said, if I was to throw a number, the $4 million over the next 5 years sounds like something. Yeah, that's what you're looking.
When you look at properties like Daniel said, what would you like to see happen? I know you can't say who's looking to do what, but we're talking about
I would like
many years is set there. Those little cabin things are falling apart.
Right. I would first and foremost like to ensure that that we actually utilize the property and that we get a return on investment. I mean, that's easy to say.
What year are you talking about? This year?
No, it definitely won't be this year.
2 years?
I would hope that within the next 2 to 3 years we have a plan, and then within the next 5 years we're actually doing something, or before. You know,
Care to say what sort of suggestions you've been hearing for it? I've heard water park, I've heard this. I have no idea.
Well, I mean, obviously there's people that believe that it should be a tourist product because of the beaches that are associated with it. There are others that don't, because next door you have a farm and it's difficult.
It smells sometimes.
And at different times of the year and different wind directions it can smell. There's other people that have even said, like you just said, put a water park there. There's other people that have put all sorts of different information together. But I think what we first need to do is to look in the community, make sure that the public beach part of it is set up and running, and then not necessarily race out and put the first thing that comes there. But get it cleaned up, because I would believe
that could start now, can't it?
Oh, everything can start now, but it's about time and money.
So you don't have the money to send some landscapers out, Daniel?
No, landscaping.
Some machines,
landscape is a little bit different. So landscaping.
How about wrecking crews?
Well, we are going to end up looking at that. So let me just start there with that. So what we did at Wedco, and Kent was getting to that part on the finance side. We would put a budget together. We would operate, and our goal every year was to have at least $1 million in cash that we could reinvest to fix up houses, fix up buildings, and we've been doing that consistently over a number of years. So no, we have not as an entity gone out and said, we want $25 million to do this today. We want it to be sustainable throughout the years. So we have been investing as our critical mass continues to grow. And that is a very strategic way to operate the business, so that you don't go in and you don't plunk in $20 or $30 million and then you can't even afford the next 2 years to maintain it properly. So the idea is to grow the business and to grow the industry. And unfortunately, we may all want it today, but it's not practical for us to be able to do it all in 1 year.
Sure.
And so there is going to be a strategy over
Sure.
a number of years to.
But best
to do
case
that.
scenario, you'd like to see something like what there in the future?
I would not preclude and say what I would want to
How
see at
about
this
that
stage.
monstrosity called Cross Island that's sitting there?
So we actually are in the middle of a process right now where we're looking to further develop it and have it more utilized as a premier Bermuda event space.
Could be used for that.
So that is something that we're actually actively
They've had a
doing.
few events up there.
We've had a number of events over the years, and obviously included in that would be GP sailing and others.
Right.
It's a beautiful location
So
for Bermuda.
anybody who wants to book that will go through you guys?
Yes.
So
correct.
what about buildings like prison offices? That's not you?
That's not us. No, that doesn't fall under our
That
purview.
needs to go too, but anyway, I didn't say that out loud. Before we wrap up, the last time I saw you, and I know you probably don't want to talk about this, but the area residents are very happy that those people from that homeless place are now all gone. In hindsight, I still say it's not what you do, it's how you do it, but you know, not my backyard in 21 square miles. It's everywhere. I'm guessing you would do it again if you had to, but in hindsight, can you say for the record, are they out as of when?
No, they
that's
are
it
out.
for now.
Yeah, I can give you an update. So the update would be that that all the persons were out by about the 15th of January. The facility itself was cleaned out and locked by roughly about now. There are still a few furniture items in the place that we allow them to leave there while they're needing a bit of time to relocate them. And then over the coming weeks and months, we'll be looking at what else we're going to do with the property.
But that's been a long time since, like, you have any ideas for it? Like, next door, they used to rent it to campers, and that died over the years.
Churches
like,
and-
it's
Well,
probably
actually-
not going to go back to that, is it?
No, probably not. And we'd have to look to have a more sustainable rent over.
What would you say is sustainable in a country where they say in 3 more years, everybody's going to be older than...
Well,
you and me?
in this case, it could be residential. It could be. I use
Or
that
they could turn it into a senior community.
or they could do that. Something to do with residential.
Wow.
That is a possibility.
Sure.
Yeah, that is. a
Okay,
possibility.
we'll be back to close it up right after this.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.